So hello, my name is Piotr. I'm working on stuff on Qubes OS, and today I'm going to talk about the incoming advances on handling of peripheral devices in Qubes OS. So this is the outline of my talk. I start with some common mental model of common user of any OS, how to handle the peripheral devices. Then I will talk about the previous design of handling peripheral devices in Qubes OS, and I will present some motivation for changes in this design. Then I will go more into the details, what was changed and how to use it, what is the benefits of that, and then we, of course, have some summary. So at the beginning, the simplest mental model of the peripheral device is something like that. I have my computer, I have the device. I plug this device to my computer. The system noticed that this device is now available, and I do my job. And this is what is the perfect world. This is exactly what I want to do. It's simple and quick, but not entirely safe. Because, for example, if this USB stick or even USB cable, it's not really USB cable, but could be keyboard, and can inject some keystroke to my computer. So it's not really safe to attach everything to my computer when I keep my data. So in Qubes, we have to add some additional layer, additional step between to keep things isolated. So I started with some plug-in to device to USB port, or creating the block device in some backup backend VM, and then this VM and only this VM see this device, and to make it visible to any other domain, I have to type this or use GUI, of course. This attach QVM USB, for example, attach command, which take the backend domain and port ID and decide to which frontend the device should be attached and available. And usually we want to attach some devices to some VMs, and we want to keep some VMs without any external devices for security. Of course, we can also detach the device with the detach command. And this is also one more option. In the previous design, we also has the --persistent flag, which means that this attachment is not only single time attachment, but it's some type of assignment of this device from this back cube will be always attached on the startup of front cube. Okay, so when the front cube is starting, it's looking for this device at this backend cube, and if this device is available, it will be automatically attached on the startup, and if it's not available, the startup of the front-end domain will be stopped. Okay, and this is how it works up to now. And there was some problems. First of all, this persistent options was a little confusing for USB devices. It's not perfectly made for them. It works okay for PCI devices, but not for USB. And for example, when the Qube started with a device attached persistently, and then we unplug these devices from our computer, in the system, this device is still attached persistently, but in real world is not even present. So it was a little confusing what happens there. And also about some internal stuff, this persistent attaching also generates some events that some new device is attached, but in fact no real device will be attached. So that was confusing. The second motivation, that's this mental model of the user. If I have some physical USB device, I'm thinking about this device as this is the physical device. It's no matter to which port I would plug this device. It should, because when I'm thinking about the peripheral device, I think about the device itself, not about the ports. But in terms of Qubes, we identify device only by the port. So if I have the USB stick A, let's say, at the port 111, and the partition of external disk D, which is visible as SDA 1, and I persistently attach these devices to some front-end VM, and then unplug the devices and plug into the same port USB stick B, so different one, and some different external disk E to any port. These partitions of this disk E will be also visible as SDA1 because there is only one block devices there, and both of these devices will be automatically attached to the front-end VM, and this is confusing for many users because when somebody wants to try to persistently attach some devices, they don't necessarily want to attach any devices, any different devices, plug it in the same port. And the last motivation is also maybe not accidental, but unintended attachment. So I have some front-end VM, for example, with my secrets, and I do not want any devices to be attached there anytime. But sometimes, by mistake, I can attach it by misclick or something, and this is something what we want also remove. So, okay, the first part, how we solve the confusing persistent option for USB devices. We split this attached device into attach and assign section. So for now, attaching is only for the attaching actual existing device to running front VM and nothing else. It doesn't work for the PCI. Of course, we can do it for PCI, but there is no much sense to attaching PCI devices to already running system because it probably doesn't work at all. So let's say it's blocked. And assign, in contrast, it's something that say that whenever the device is discovered in the system or the front-end VM is started, the device will be automatically attached to that front-end. Okay, there is also no good reason to assign the devices. What is important, if this device is not discoverable during the startup of the domain, nothing happens. Just domain started as always, but without that auto attach device. It's very convenient for USB. So if I assign my USB stick or microphone or something to my front-end VM, every time I will start this front-end VM, this device will be automatically attached, or if this front-end is already running and I plug the device, it also will be automatically attached, and if it's not, there is no problem. We also add the flag --ask, which the difference between assign and assign with ask is that before actually attaching anything, we will be prompt. The prompt looks very similar to every Qubes user, where here we have the source of the device, so it's the backend name, it's the port number, some device description, and we can choose the target where we want to attach this device on the startup or whenever. And the last option is the assign required. This is almost the same as attach persistent. It works in the same way. Moreover, there is existing alias that attach persistent. For now, it's the same, which is assign required. So it's assign the device as required. It means if the device is not available during the startup of the VM, this startup will be stopped because it's because of lack of this device. It's the right thing to do for the PCI devices. If some devices should be attached to, for example, sys USB, and there is no available USB bridge, the startup will be stopped. But it's not allowed for the USB devices because there is too much confusion about that. The second motivation is the confusing mental model of peripheral devices. So we introduce, let's say, device identity. There is just 4 simple information which is already presented by almost every devices. So this is the vendor and product IDs. This is the and this all information here is provided by the device itself, so it's as trusted as the device. There is optional serial number. Many USB devices or PCI has this serial number, but not all. And there is so encoded interfaces of the device. This is the example for the PCI and USB devices. It looks like that without the serial number. And this is the device identity for the block devices. So this is the first part is the parent ID, device ID of the parent device. The parent device of the block device could be the USB device, for example. So if the USB stick has some block devices which has the partitions, the parent of the partition is the whole block device, and the parent of the block device is USB stick. And all this information is here. We can even see that this example, I have the USB stick which on the second line. This is the device ID for the whole block devices of this USB stick. There is the device ID, and for the first partition is additional one here. Okay, the question is what we can do with such device identity. First of all, this device identity is not unique. There could be, for example, if I buy some cheap USB stick, there is a high probability there is no serial number there, and two such devices is treated as equal. But it's not that bad, because in fact, if we have two devices which looks exactly the same and they presented every data as the same, there is no other option to see any difference. Even if you do it manually, this is almost the same device, and we cannot do it better. But if you have some better USB stick, especially with serial number, that's very good, because it's really hard to spoof your serial number. Somebody have to steal your USB stick and have the physical access to it. And if somebody actually can have some physical access to your devices, I think this is not your biggest problem. Okay. And how it works, how we can use it. For now, if I type something like assign, and I put the backend cube and the port ID, what will be really assigned is not only the port number, but also the device itself. So it means if I now put a different device to the same port ID, there will be no auto-attaching. Also, when I choose a different port ID and put this device there, there also will be no auto-attaching. The only way to have this device auto-attached, I have to put this exact device or identical device to this exact port. Of course, I can use the dash port. The difference here is now this device is green, here is device is not green, so we attach only the port. So any device which will be attached to this port will be auto-attaching to the front-end VM now, because I only assign the port, not the device itself. Also, we have the flag -- device, which now ignore the port and attach only the device. So it means if I do something like that for USB stick, this doesn't matter to which port I will plug in this USB stick, there will be auto-attaching. There is also some additional options. So instead of flags, we could use some wildcards or directly put the USB or block device, PCI devices identity there, and that works. And this arrows show that this option is considered as the less safe, because there is the highest probability that something goes wrong. We have two identical devices and we accidentally attach to something where we don't want. And this is the safest options, because we need the identical devices and we need to put it in the right port. So it's the most restrictive one. And the practical usage of assigning by the device ID, that I have two USB sticks, and in sysUSB they expose block devices SDA and SDB. If I run something like that, I want to one VM assign the partition SDA1 and the second VM partition SDB, but by device, then when I replug these devices in different order, so the enumeration of the block devices will be different. So for now, the first USB stick will be exposed as SDB and the second one as SDA. What happens? The SDB one will be attached to the first one. So here was SDA1, and then SDB will be attached, because we don't care about the ordering of the block devices, but we care from which device this block device is exposed. Because in the previous one, in fact, auto-attaching of any block devices from sysUSB was not very clever idea, because there could be any devices, let's say random devices, could get SDA in sysUSB. Now it will be checked if this block devices is exposed by expected device. Okay. The question is, what happens if I do something like that? So I tell that I want to auto-assign any device which will be plugged to port 410 to some Debian, for example, and I particularly want that this one device will be always auto-attached to Devel Fedora, for example. And what happens if I put this particular device to this particular port? The answer is prompt to which front VM this device should be attached, because there is the conflict that both this assignment is valid. So let's just type what you want. Of course, there will be the list of the possible acceptable front-end VMs. This is the list. The new list, maybe we should add some flag to filter by only attachments or only assignments or something like that, because for now we can have some lines twice. For example, here this device DOM000D is shown like the already attached some PCI device, and here we have the presented existing assignment, that any device which will be discovered in this port will be automatically attached to sysUSB with the following options. Also, we can do something like that for sysUSB we can take this device, if this device is plugged in, for example, my USB stick is plugged in any port in my computer, it will be asked to attach. So I will be prompted before it will be attached, unless it will be attached to this one particular port, then there will be auto-attached without any asking. So something like that is possible. Okay. And the last one, we introduced the device, the list. The list, it's very simple. The first column here is the front-end cubes names, and then we have the space-separated encoded interfaces. These interfaces could be found in HW data directory for USB and PCI devices. U at the beginning stands for the USB device, P for the PCI, B for block devices, M for the microphone. And here we can, for example, say that we do not want any keyboard attached to my work VM1, or I can say I don't want any HID devices at all at my VM2, or at all any USB devices. Also, there is possible, if we put the 7 stars, there is no any devices at all can be attached to that front-end VM. Okay, and what is important here, this only apply to manually attaching. So if I prompt something like QVM USB attach something, and there this device will have one of these interfaces, this attach will be stopped, but the assignments will work as always. So if there is assignment of devices which is the keyboard to VM1, it's still working, but only automatically. I cannot do this manually. And moreover, if I will create the assignment for such devices, when in device list already is the rule against that, I get the warning that I should double check if this is really what I want. Okay, and the last one, if we want to have some VM without any possible attachment at all, we can do something like that. So nassign, remove all the existing assignments to the VM. So if we remove all the assignments and we put something like that to the list, we cannot attach anything manually, and anything will be attached also by assignments because we remove all of them. Okay, the good information is that this new device API is fully compatible with the old one by aliases, etc. So everything should work without any additional effort. And to sum up, the new device API gets us more grained control over peripheral devices. It's easier to keep our cubes and devices more isolated. It's very convenient for automation, especially auto-attaching stuff, and hopefully it's less confusing. So that's all from me. Any questions?
Hi, thanks so much. That was a great talk, and I'm very excited about all of these features. I'm already thinking about tons of code we can delete, and it'll be easier for the user experience. So I have a couple of questions. My first question, they're mostly about the deny list. So the first question is the deny list the only way to specify which VMs are allowed and not allowed? Like, for example, will there also be like an RPC policy way of specifying? And yeah, actually, that's the first question.
Okay, we are not planning to adding any additional RPC policy for that. Just the deny list to keep it simple, and I think it should cover cases, but maybe will be the good case where you cannot use just the deny list. We could consider to add something more.
Like, for example, I'm thinking about the 4.3 UUID-based QRexec policies, and I'm wondering if it would be possible to have like deny list based on UUID of a VM instead of on the VM name, but I don't know if that's too far in the future.
It's too, yeah, we have to think about that.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Hi. Yes, so the deny list, is there a drop-in configuration folder for that, or just a single file?
For now, it's just single file. It's just, let's say, the first version. Probably do have to create some GUI for that and maybe make it a directory.
Okay, and the other word, is it a keyword, or is there something such as any VM that is denied? Like, to deny every other VM. Like, is there a keyword for that?
All VMs?
Yes.
No, but
Okay.
maybe it's a good...
And like, in some sense, it's similar to her first question, like the interaction of the QRexec policy. Like, does it still require the QRexec policies such as USB attach to be in place? And if the list is checked before or after the policy is done?
I think it's checked before.
Before?
It's hard to say for now.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
With the Vault deny everything, have you considered shipping that as a default configuration?
Default, like...
So deny attaching anything to a Vault cube, the Vault cube you have on installation?
We can think about that because it's like only creating the deny list at the beginning during the installation with this Vault, but you know, in fact, the Vault is not any special VM, so.
Is it not? Yeah, I got the impression it was. It's intended to be detached, so it would make sense to have that sort of policy there.
Yeah, but if you
just a thought.
You know, if you rename your Vault VM, so
it's just about whether Qubes would want to supply an opinionated configuration.
It could be consideration. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
More question about deny list. This was already asked about a bit more extended syntax, like any VM or maybe some tag. Any VM with this tag should not get some particular on any device, for example. That could be useful. But how does it relate to ask? If you ask to the target, is it also considering the deny list to exclude this from selection?
Asking is the auto-attaching, and auto-attaching do not take into account the list.
But in ask, you only have to select target from those who have this
some assignment exists.
So you need to have assignment to be to see on this. Okay.
For the device ID, is there some option to extend this? Because I mean, some devices have multiple IDs, or for example, for block devices, you might also want to have the UUID of the file system or something like this exposed.
There is no problem. This is just the string would be put in as an identifier, so we could put
and then you can
everything there.
Can you already match just the part of the string, like when you have multiple IDs in there? Can you partially match the string, or how does it?
If I don't get...
Okay, maybe.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. And if there was a wish list, I would like to ask for like some of the QRexec notation policy. For example, adding tags, so I can tag cubes and then being able to have not be assigned.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.